Hey guys, welcome back. This is Base Wars Qualifier number 7. I'm Shafted, Clinic Casting Crew. We are now in the best of 4. This is our semifinals. That means we are doing a best of 3. So we will be keeping you guys informed on the score. You can check the score on the bottom side of the map or on our scorecard at the end of this match. But hold that thought, because my co-caster, as amazing as he is, it's Carson Tyrannus Wood. Here on the top left-hand side of Frost Ladder Edition, in the blue Brotos trunks, representing Chaos Latin Gamers, it's DontPanic. This guy has a very standard style, really approaches matchups in a very standard methodology. You don't see too much unorthodox stuff, and it's really important to point out because he is from KLG with players like Jim Rising, who just do such crazy, out there bonkers stuff. It's nice to see some standard play. And here on the bottom left-hand side, in the Zerg corner, and in the purple trunks, my favorite color, it's the unorthodox, super aggressive DakkoN. So, Carson, Zerg vs. Protoss Frost Ladder Edition, we're seeing a pull first. Is that significant?
It's really safe, which I understand being in the semifinals right now. Best of 3, you want to be as safe as possible and be sure to get that one up on your opponent to feel good going into game 2. But I feel like the standard in this matchup on this map is to go hatch first, but I completely understand the decision not to.
All right, so we've got the 4 lings, that's standard for scouting, coming out for DakkoN. There's still no gas right now, so he's actually completely on point, seeing that his opponent has opened with a fast expand. He'll probably take a 3 to 4 minute third, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that going down almost immediately. He's got the 2 drones moving out. I expect one of them to go down and one to return.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting that he's deciding to take this forward third. Maybe it's don't kill the Proberto. Maybe the forward third is going to be easier to siege his natural, although I wouldn't think it's too much easier, and it also allows for the Protoss to push down this ridge, which is very, very good for force fields. So we'll have to see how this ends up working out for him.
Really like this map. It gives Zerg a lot more time to respond when they see aggression, but as you mentioned, this forward third can be a liability because it cuts that time in half.
Yeah, the forward third cuts the time in half for the Protoss to attack. So like if the Protoss decides to do any sort of 2-base all-in or 2-base aggression, it'll be much, much easier to hit. Another reason that I don't like that he's taking this third is because it's much easier for Void Rays to sit above this little ridge here and just poke away at this third. You'll need at least 3 Spine Crawlers, I believe, if they have enough Void Rays to be able to push them back.
Are you expecting Void Rays in this this matchup?
The standard for a little while was to get like 2 or 3 Stargates and go Void Ray Sky Toss kind of on this map, but again, that's a preference thing, and I know a lot of players don't like to play like that. So, seeing what DontPanic did to Sheep on Heavy Rain, I expect to see some aggression out of him and just building up the correct comp rather than a certain comp in general.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Well, DakkoN is still playing standard. I'm actually super surprised at this. His mid game is going to have to be aggressive. I know he's holding back. You mentioned earlier you've played against DakkoN before. Is that correct?
Yes, on ladder.
You want to tell us a little bit about his playstyle?
He's a very aggressive player. He loves his speedlings. He loves his banelings. I think his biggest weakness is that he doesn't always know when the correct time to fall back and drone is, but it can also be a strength because he can keep pushing and end up breaking at somebody who's like, oh, he won't be pushing anymore, and then boom, 30 more lings in your face. So
well, Stalker Zealot pressuring this queen at the third here. The ling's gonna come in here and do a pretty good job. The Zealot kiting backwards, Stalker kiting a little bit as well. Ultimately, DontPanic's gonna get that Stalker away. There is no ling speed. But speaking of not droning much, he is currently 6 drones behind. Sometimes you see players like Scarlet in this matchup upwards of 60 drones at this point in the game. So it's very significant that he's only on 42 at this point.
Yeah, speaking, it's interesting enough that he's drones behind, and he made 12 Zerglings, which could have been 6 drones.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he did need to make at least 6 Zerglings, but I think this was a bit of overkill, and they're not really going to get anything done.
Right.
He kind of made them, and they're just on the map.
Yeah, they're just wasted supply.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, I suppose he could take the Zelnaga towers with him and keep them patrolling to shut down any pylons, but the fact of the matter is, it's 3 base against 3 base. He needs to make a 4th.
Yeah, he did scout that pretty greedy third base by DontPanic, and I don't know if he sees any tech from him. No, he doesn't actually see any of the tech he's going. So for all he knows, he could have 3 Stargates, he could have double Robo, or he could be researching DTs right now. He needs to get a scout in, and he needs to take his own 4th and start droning up.
Well, we do have +2 attacks coming for our Protoss player, Blink as well. It's definitely going to be a +2 Blink timing coming here from DontPanic. Possibly supported by a Warp Prism here. The Robo, a little bit throwing me off. Is that more of a transition point, or is that Warp Prism?
It could be a Warp Prism first, but my guess would be that it's for Colossus, and he's going to go Stalker Colossus, which has been gaining more traction recently because it's a really strong comp. But it looks like he's opening with an Immortal because he's scared of any sort of Hydra Roach pushes.
Safety Immortal.
Yep. And I expect a Robo Beta to be coming down soon.
Okay. Well, these Lings are still at the front of DontPanic's base, so he will see anything moving out. But again, they're kind of just sitting there. They're not doing a lot. Those could be drones, as you mentioned. And these hallucinated Phoenix harassing a little bit. But just basic scouting here. This is turning into one of those longer grinding Zerg vs. Protosses. But that's completely cool because that means we're going to have a super amazing late game.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like DakkoN's gearing up for a Hydra Ling push, except with double Evo, which does minimize his attempt to tech switch, and leads me to believe that he's going to be going straight into a Roach Hydra comp. Whether it's going to be Roach Hydra Infestor, Roach Hydra Corruptor, or he's going to be teching to Hyper Vipers is yet to be seen, but at least for now we know he's going to have an aggressive Hydra Ling style coming out for the mid game.
It's interesting to me that he feels no pressure at taking his 4th. Like, most Zergs, when they see 3 base against 3 base, they would be freaking out, saying, I need a 4th, I need a 4th, I need a 4th, I need a 4th. DakkoN, no, he's just going to rev up, do a light attack, and what's coming behind this?
Yeah, I completely agree. He does need a 4th. He should be taking it behind this, in my opinion, but because if this push doesn't do damage, then he's going to be in a world of hurt because, like you said, it's pretty equal mining rates. So,
and he's got the resources for it.
He does have the resources for it. He just needs to cut back on army production a little bit because he should recognize at this point that DontPanic has a pretty solid defense up and he won't be able to get much done. So he should be thinking his backup plan at this point.
Well, he does have Hydra range. He may be able to just shell from afar some of the Protoss stuff, but the thing is, he's got very little buffer here for the Hydras, and here's the engagement. Colossi going to do a little bit of damage here to the Hydralisk. He's got to be careful not to take Hydralisk shots. The Mothership Core going to fall here to a lot of Hydralisk. Hydralisk going to take out this first pylon, and there's actually a lot more Hydras here than there is Protoss stuff, but some good force fields keeping the Colossi completely safe and keeping the Hydralisk in a nice concave where the Colossi can do the most damage.
Yeah, I feel like that was DakkoN's best chance to do any damage here with Thermal Lance not being done. He had a pretty good opportunity to snipe that Colossus. He was really good not to ball up and get a good concave for that engagement, but DontPanic had pretty good control. So.
Well, we do have a second Colossi now, but the Stalker's moving forward without the Colossi. He blinks backwards, but he loses quite a few Stalkers in that engagement.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I wonder if he was just not paying attention to them or if that was intentional. Because if it was intentional, I don't agree with it. But then again, it probably was not.
Well, we've got the +3 attacks coming now for DontPanic. And with this number of Colossi against the composition, we've got to be DakkoN. Unless DakkoN can hit a timely tech switch, DontPanic's going to have +3 attack, which is going to melt these Hydralisks.
Yeah, DakkoN's not even on 2-2 yet, and his +3 attack will finish before DakkoN's +2. So with the Hive on the way, he needs to get some Vipers out if he wants to have a chance against this Protoss army comp.
Yep, and it looks like DontPanic trying to bait engagement here out of DakkoN. DakkoN's smart to go ahead and retreat, but the thing is, even with speed, Hydralisk's slightly slower than Stalkers, especially when you factor in Blink.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely has some chasing potential on those Hydras, but decides to just group up and go for the death push without risking losing any more Stalkers.
Mm-hmm. Now, both players are coming close to the 200-200 marker. These roaches are a little bit of wasted supply, but he's continuing to produce them. Carson, why does he continue to make roaches?
He recognizes that there's 3 Colossus out on the field, but this is actually a really questionable engagement right here. Engaging before his Corruptors come out and in the line of Colossus fire. If he had just waited for those Corruptors, I feel like that engagement could have gone slightly different. But now he's really on the back foot, so he needs to make something happen quick.
Yeah, and luckily he is staying on the creep, but his opponent wearing away at the creep with these observers. The Corruptor's gonna be waiting for these 14 roaches, but no, he has to force the engagement now. Stalker's moving backwards. Zealots are now in position. Sentry's the next line of fire. Corruptor's doing a great job here against the Colossi. The Colossi have melted most of the ground army, and in fact, the supply count says it all. There is a 30 army supply difference between these two players. DakkoN getting cleaned up here.
Yeah, and 2 Immortals still alive, and with another Colossus joining this army, I don't see any way for DakkoN to hold this off with his Remax, and there's the GG.
Yeah. So, where did DakkoN go wrong? How could he have played that differently? How could he have won?
He engaged really prematurely. He kind of got overeager there and engaged like right as his Corruptors were popping out, and they weren't in there for the fight, and he basically gave away part of his army for free. And on top of that, I believe his Corruptors were late anyway, so if he had just had Vipers or Corruptors in that fight before throwing away part of his army, it could have looked a lot different.
Well, that was game number 1. We're going to be going into game number 2 here momentarily. He still has a very strong chance to make something happen. Maybe that just wasn't the map for him. It was a really big map, so that early game aggression, not as viable of an option. We'll see, can he make it happen?
Yeah, what map did you say was next?
Daedalus Point.
Oh, Daedalus. Yes, this is a really good Zerg map in CVP, so it will give DakkoN a chance to shine with some of his aggressive play.